So hi everyone, welcome to our Architecture in the Den podcast, and today I'm delighted to welcome the 1 to 100 Architecture Podcasteristas. So I'm really pleased because we've been talking through Clubhouse, the launch of Clubhouse. I followed you guys on Clubhouse. We got in contact, and it's a bit of a Clubhouse love story, actually. I think there's lots of nodding in the room, and I've actually appeared on their podcast, so you must check it out. 1 to 100 podcast. So, without further ado, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves. So who wants to take the lead?
You go first. I'll go first. I knew everyone was like looking around the room like
so if anyone's listening to this, we've got 4 screens. We're on Zoom. We've got 4 screens up. We've got Adonai and Amanda in one room. We've got Naomi in another, Bethany in another, and me in the 4th. So lots of people on this. So sorry, back over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa, for having us on your podcast. Honestly, it's so great to actually speak to you like just casually, and I can actually see your face when I'm speaking to you, so that's really nice. My name is Amanda. So I studied interior architecture at Oxford Brookes University. So I'm currently now working at Oxford Brookes. I didn't escape as an enterprise projects assistant, which is basically somebody who sets up events, workshops, and programs for people wanting to start a business. So planning to go back to uni to do my part 2, so I can actually continue my architectural journey.
Cool.
Okay, I'm Adonai, so I'm here with Amanda in Oxford. I studied architecture at Oxford Brookes University as well, and co-founded the podcast with these lovely ladies. Currently, I'm working in the school as a one-on-one SEND support assistant, and yeah, I've enjoyed that role. It's quite different to architecture, but I'm looking to go back into architecture because I feel like the skills that I've learned in uni and in working in education that I can also bring to architecture too. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Cool. Who's next?
I'll go next. Hi everyone, thanks Lisa for having me as well. I'm Naomi, and I went to Oxford Brookes with everyone else here on the podcast, and I studied architecture, and right now I'm doing my level 7 architecture apprenticeship to get my master's in part 1 and part 2 and part 3, while working for a construction company that specializes in stone installations. That's pretty much it.
Cool. And last but not least on this, but we've got Bethany.
Yeah, hi Lisa. So my name's Bethany. Of course, I co-founded the podcast as well, and also studied architecture at Oxford Brookes University. I'm currently doing my part 2, so studying my master's, and I'm here in Manchester right now. University is consuming my life, so there's not really much else going on, but I'm definitely enjoying it despite the intensity. So yeah, that's me.
Cool. So when did you finish your first degree? Are you all in the same year?
Yeah.
We
graduated in 2019, so oh my gosh, is that 3 years ago?
Oh
God, no.
Right.
We graduated a while ago, 3 years ago now.
2020 don't count.
Sorry.
It was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And you add.
We decided to cancel the year 2020 and start again. So we graduated 2 years ago. Yeah, I mean, it was such a whirlwind when we graduated, because obviously none of us really knew anyone in industry. It was and I don't think most of us have anyone we know, like family and friends in the architecture world, which is pretty much why we decided to start the podcast anyway, just to kind of build those connections and ask the questions that we had wanted to know the answers to, recently graduating and also in study.
So who managed to get sort of part 1 experience? Did any of you manage to get it? Lots of shaking of heads.
No.
No.
Wow.
No.
That was sad.
The only one of us is Basma that's not here, but she's just started her part 1 architectural assistant job role.
And that's 2 years after graduating.
Yeah. I think it was really off-putting, actually, if I'm being honest. Like after a certain point in time when you're not really getting responses, or you're not really getting you're not sure if it's your CV, your portfolio, or you. So I think that we at some point we just kind of like stopped, not like in sync, but we just all sort of personally stopped applying for jobs, and either we got back into it or we applied for something else, because it can be quite draining as well to not know what it is that that is not allowing you to get that experience. So yeah,
but I think it's important to note it's not the end of the world if you don't get your part 1 experience straight away. So I've kind of just like had my year out, didn't gain experience, found other ways to kind of just keep on top of my skills and just stay creative, and just applied for my master's degree. So either you'll be someone like Basma who waited 2 years and then she finally got a really good place, or you can just find alternative routes into where you want to go. And even with the podcast, that's opened up a lot for us as well.
I'm sure it has. Adonai and Amanda, you've gone really blurry. Oh, they've gone. Oh, they've come back. Hello, in a different place. And your sound's gone as well.
We're back.
Yeah. So what did you do in your year out, Bethany?
So a lot of the time from probably after graduation, so we kind of did a month in Vanuatu doing a build project, so design and build project. We built classroom and library space, and I did that alongside Adonai and Amanda, and that was with Cork and Studio. So after the summer, I was applying to jobs constantly, and obviously that's like a job in itself. It takes a lot of time, so you feel like you're constantly busy even though you're not working. But then after that, it was kind of me just working on my old portfolio. I wasn't 100% happy with what I came up with in terms of my design in 3rd year. So if I don't like it, why not change it? And I used that to kind of build my skills and kind of create my new portfolio for my university applications. Then I also got involved in a project at my church. So they were looking to renovate. So I just tagged along to get any kind of experience and help bring the church costs down as well. So that in itself was a little bit of experience with an architecture on a real life project. And it was interesting because I'm also the user as well. So to have that kind of input was quite nice, actually. And that's still ongoing. So that's what I did with my time.
And so you've carried on doing part 2s at Manchester.
Yes.
Brilliant. So was there an issue with them letting you back in without any experience?
No, actually, there were a few universities that when you kind of look through their kind of requirements and what they expected like 6 to 9 months of experience. Well, Manchester just said it was preferred. And I think from kind of that time when they were doing the acceptance letters and stuff, that was when COVID started, the pandemic kind of hit. So they expected some students to be without that experience anyway. So that worked in my favor in a sense, I think.
So are you in your 1st year of the part 2s?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
So I think I got my acceptance letter probably around June 2020. So we were in lockdown at the time. So
I think for listeners, for those who don't know, the kind of the traditional architecture path is 7 years. It's 3 years degree in architecture, then a year in industry, so that's 12 months recorded experience, then 2 years you do your part 2, which is a postgrad, and that's 2 years, and then you do your second year in industry, which is another 12 months recorded experience, and then you do your case study and your part 3s, which is the professional qualifications. So I know sort of certainly during like recessions and pandemics, universities are usually quite flexible about kind of allowing you to sort of not have that 12 months in between the 2 courses, but you'll still have to, you know, if you plan on carrying on the route of architecture, you'll still have to do that 24 months at some point. So any experience is valuable, I think, for your PDRs. Yeah. So who do you all want to carry on in architecture at the moment? Do you all want to? I've got lots of
aim. Yeah, I think we all had doubts though.
Yeah.
Because I think just even listening to what you were saying about us coming out of uni and not finding work, for me, when I graduated, I didn't even look for work at all, because I was like, when I came out, I was scarred. I was scarred, and like mentally I was just like, this course just like kind of like affected me in a way where I just didn't want to look at my own work. I didn't believe in my own designs and stuff like that. So yeah, I didn't look for work at all. I was just like, I don't know, I might go back into architecture, I might not. But I think the path that I went down in, you know, going to do something different and also doing the podcast as well, is like my foot's in architecture a bit, but I'm doing something else. But then it gives me the idea, or gives me the time to see if I actually want to do architecture or not. So the plan is to go back. I think the time that I've taken out to like really think has helped me and my own mental well-being.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm in the same boat as you, actually. Like, I kind of just fell into the job that I was in as well. I graduated, obviously went to Vanuatu. Actually, it was really cheeky. I graduated, I got the job, and then I was like to my manager, I need to go away for a month. And she was like, okay.
See ya.
And then I managed to like actually come back and still have the job. So that was lucky. But I think that, like, not even knowing what, I think with my job, I didn't even know what it was entailed. Like, you hear enterprise project assistant, you're like, what even is that? So
I'm thinking, what even is that?
No, literally, even now I'm asking myself, what even is that? Like, but I think you do these roles because out of convenience, you need a job. You gain all this experience in like project management, marketing, social media, all of these like little tasks, time management, just actually working from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. And you realize that some of the things that you learn in this other sector are skills that you may not have particularly learned in architecture. So you literally grab all those skills and apply them to your portfolio, to your CV, and you'll just see how you stand out amongst so many people, because of the things that you may not have learned, but maybe even taken from education. So I think it depends on the type of person that you are, but I think for me it's been really, really beneficial working in a different sector to then apply it to my knowledge in architecture.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think I did. I went straight through pretty much, although I came out in the recession of 1993.
What one is that?
So long time. That's what it is. So there were I had to get 2 stints. I couldn't get mine in a straight run. So the first thing that I did a summer school. Did I? Yes, I did a summer school in Tallinn in Estonia. That was cool. And then I was just scrabbling around to get whatever I could get, and I kind of worked on a competition with some guys that I'd met there, Studio 333, and I went out to Maastricht to work on Europan 3. So that's for a couple of weeks, did a few all-nighters, as you do, if you think it's normal. And then came back, and I think I got a role with one of my tutors for a few months, and then that was over in Leeds because I'd studied in Leeds, and then I came back to Manchester because I'm from Manchester originally, and I got a job at Halfords for 6 months. So, you know, I kind of just about scrabbled together the experience, and then went to do my part twos. Yeah, architecture is always the it's always the first industry to go when the economy's dodgy. Yeah, because, you know, if you're making, you know, if you're in a commercial team or something and you're trying to make a decision about whether to invest in a capital project like a bank or I don't know, a pension project or whatever, if the market's dodgy, you're just going to, you know, put it on hold. So the first people that go are the architects. So it's yeah, it's a bit rubbish. I mean, what I've, you know, sort of bringing it back to Pride Road. So Pride Road, the franchise, the reason I set that up was because I'd been made redundant twice whilst on maternity leave. And we found that working in the domestic residential sector was stable and can ride through the kind of fluctuations in the economy. So what you tend to find is, you know, when there's a recession, people still, you know, they need more space, so they have to extend. And then when the market's buoyant again, they want to extend because they haven't quite got what they've got. So, you know, you know, I set up in 2010, so 11 years ago, and it's been continually busy. And even with the pandemic, you know, people were just, you know, procuring and commissioning projects all the way through. So it's just a savvy way of doing it, I guess. You know,
I feel like you found a need based on like your personal experiences as well, and like for me that's very like admirable because it means that your heart is in it too. Like you obviously have like a lot of passion for, you know, domestic and residential projects, but also just allowing people to be able to work flexibly and just being able to be a human being.
Yeah, well, that's it. Once I'd seen that I'd found a good business model, you know, I kind of that works. It's like, oh, everyone should be doing it. Let me help you. You know, come on, come join us. You know, let me show you what I've learned and all those time management skills and project management skills. Not that I'm a great manager, but you know, it's kind of like come here and learn from me.
I was gonna say, like, did you find the project management side of things difficult when you first started? Like, how did you go about kind of tailoring your way to like being the designer to being the manager sort of thing?
Trial and error.
Yeah.
Just I made loads of mistakes. But every time I made a mistake, I tried to learn from it. So yeah, sort of hopefully never really made the same mistake twice. And then you kind of just can teach that to other people as well. So other people don't make mistakes either. Naomi's looking very quiet there. Quite a while. So tell me a bit more about what your sort of architecture journey is, because you mentioned that you're doing an apprenticeship.
Yeah, sorry, I just had my microphone on mute because I have quite a few cars going by and you can kind of hear it in the background, so I apologize for that if you do catch it. But yeah, so I'm doing the apprenticeship now, and after uni graduating, similar to Adonai, it was just like, you know, you wanted a bit of a break. 2019 wasn't, I mean, other than graduating, I felt like an immense sense of achievement, you know, because that was, I mean, I shouldn't really be putting this out there because in case someone else tries to hire me, you know, but I've never really like stuck to anything like completely. You know, I've started things and then I'll drop it, or like I'll lose interest and be like, yeah, okay, on to the next thing, start something. I never completed anything fully. So finishing part one, you know, the undergraduate degree was like my first kind of big thing that I've actually completed from start to finish, and I've done it. And that was like, for me, I was like, it was an amazing feeling. Although I was tired, I was done. But and then after that had some kind of you know, personal you know, events happen with my family. We lost someone, and I was looking for a job. I had been applying for part one assistant roles, and I hadn't found anything for a long time. So at that point, I was like, okay, I need to expand, because right now I need a job. I need something that pays me right now. And I I started applying for things that I thought I could get. You know, I just thought, okay, what kind of skills have I learned in architecture? And I was like, well, I know how to use this program. I know how to use CAD, I know how to use Rhino, and how to use Adobe Photoshop and these things. I was like, I guess people pay, you know, for certain people with knowledge of certain softwares. So I ended up getting a 3-month contract with a construction company. They said they really liked my portfolio, which made me feel like, oh, this is really nice. You know, I got good feedback. You know, it's the first time, because normally they don't even tell you anything. You know, they just kind of say, oh, sorry, you haven't been chosen or whatever. They don't exactly, you know, go into depth of, you know, giving you feedback about your portfolio, how you can improve. So that was really nice. And then I learned quite a lot. I learned a lot about fixings. It was also to do with stone. So they did cladding and interior and exteriors of buildings, mostly with projects in London, Portland stone, and that kind of. So I learned a lot about the material and, you know, the whole process. So it was really invaluable experience that I had, although it was paid. I was, you know, like an intern pay. You know, it was still good. And then after that, I got my current job at EDM, which is another stone company that specializes in stone. And from there, that's when I got that just before the pandemic hit. So that was really, really lucky. I was furloughed though, but they did still keep me on. And then May came and I heard about the apprenticeship, because I tried to apply the previous year, but I didn't have a placement. And I was told that I could apply even though I wasn't in a part one apprenticeship role. And that was news to me, because I thought that you had to specifically have that role in order to do it. And I was like, well, I work in a construction company. I don't work for an actual architectural firm. And, you know, we kind of managed to look through everything. You know, we've got architects that work there. And as long as you had an architect to be your mentor, then, you know, they would allow it. I was like, okay. So I ran to my manager. I was like, I'm thinking about, you know, furthering my education. Would you be willing to support me through it? You know, because I really like working here and all these things. And they were like, yeah. And I almost didn't believe it until actually, you know, I got the list. It was like, yeah, you start on Monday. You know, here's the brief, everything. And I was like, okay, this is real. So now I'm working kind of full time. So we do 20% off the job, which is the study and all these things.
So so who helped you get the apprentice, sort the apprentice kind of paperwork?
So it was my manager, Eduardo. Shout out to him. He's been like my office parent. You know, he's honestly, like, he's taught me a lot of things, and he's actually my mentor for the apprenticeship. So it's been It's been great. Yeah, he's been really helpful.
So are you attached to a university?
Yeah, so you know, once you start at Brooks, sometimes it doesn't leave you.
You can never leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess you'll be equivalent doing your postgrad then?
Yeah, so it's the part 2 and 3, it's all condensed into 4 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
and it covers your
So-
part 3 as well.
So by the end of it, you come out as a fully qualified architect, which is great because you get that kind of 4 years work experience while getting your part 2 and then your part 3, which is the final year.
So if someone was thinking about doing an apprenticeship, where should they go? What's their first kind of place to go to?
From my knowledge right now, it's still fairly new. They only introduced it, I think, in 2018, because I remember still in second year when I first heard about it, or at least from Brooks. We had a lecture and they said that they were starting it, and it was created by Carl. I can't remember his last name, but my man Carl, he's the one in charge. He's the one that organized it all. You know, his name is stamped on the thing. And the only other university that I know of that does it is South Bank in London.
Right.
But they structure it differently. So at Brooks, they do intensives. So that it's not like you work 4 days a week and then 1 day a week you go into for your lectures or your workshop or your lessons or whatever. It's done it's split into 4 different weeks in the year. And you take that 1 week off and you do, you know, all your workshops, all your tutoring, all of that. But you also have to do work in between that. But you know, all the lessons is kind of condensed into one. You just tell your work, you know, you'll be off this week in the year.
Sounds intense, but really a really good way of doing it. Right. Well, we've actually reached our 7:30 mark, so that's our 30 minutes. Really quickly then, quick question. Quick answers from everyone, please. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? So Naomi.
Traveling.
Sorry?
Traveling.
With your architect's hat on, and then going to take some time off and see
100%. After the 4 years, I want to take a year out and then.
Okay, Bethany.
Qualified. A qualified architect, and hopefully still having some, I don't know, the podcast actually still being going. Not necessarily it has to be the form of a podcast, but I want us to be doing amazing in 5 years' time.
I think you will be. I think you've started something really special. Adonai?
Fulfilled. Yeah, I would say fulfilled. So just whatever it may be, just just feeling that sense of fulfillment. Yeah.
And Amanda?
I mean, hopefully qualified, but I actually want to be married in 5 years. How old will I be? 29. Oh my god. Yeah, I want to be married in 5 years. We'll see what happens. But
sometimes in architecture that M word's a bit of a dirty word, isn't it?
I know.
We've had this. Oh, that's what my podcast was all about. I mean, okay, going back around the room. So, in reverse order, Amanda, where do you see that fitting into your education, architecture kind of route?
It's just gonna have to work. Like, I mean, my part 2 and my part 3, I understand that it will take a lot from me, my time commitments, probably my patience, and you know, I understand. I just hope that whoever I get married to can also understand that, those sort of things. I'm not expecting anyone to, but I feel like I have to be transparent about it from the very beginning. because I think architecture is one of those things you just have to make it clear from the get-go that this is what I'm doing and these are the time commitments that I'll need to dedicate to it. So yeah, if that's what I want, then I will have to make sure that I work around the relationship rather than the architecture, because that's something that's personal to me.
Adonai, does that factor into your thoughts at all, or is it just
Yeah, it definitely factors in, but I definitely want to do be qualified and, you know, through the route of the apprenticeship. So that's what I want. But yeah, I think echoing what Amanda said, it's going to be tough, but it's a sacrifice worth having.
Bethany?
As long as it's after my master's, I am not doing anything in my master's. There's no time for that. After that, whenever it happens, it happens. Like, I'm not too prescriptive. There's not a certain time. I'll just make it work.
And Naomi?
You know what? I don't see myself being married or proposed to before I finish. So it's going to happen afterwards.
Architecture is definitely all encompassing, isn't it?
It's a relationship all in its own. I feel like I'm married already. So whoever comes next is like, three's a crowd.
Well, I'm looking forward to sort of talking more about the kind of challenges of motherhood and architecture in our Sheroes of Architecture conference that we've got coming up. Woo! It's so exciting. So 12th to the 14th of May 2021, we are, well, I'm delighted that the 1 to 100 Architecture Podcasteristas are joining us as the warriors of space. And
sounds like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we're doing 3 days, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. UK time, and we've got some amazing speakers, and hopefully we're going to be tackling some of these taboo issues, and sort of like lots of inspiring women on the list. So please, if you're listening, check out Sheroes of Architecture, and yeah, get your ticket. It's 19 quid for 3 days. I think it's bloody good value. So before I finish, would you ladies like to do a plug for your own podcast, and how do we find you?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're available on all of the major social media platforms, listening platforms. So Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts. It's just 1 to 100 podcasts, and it's a colon. I know you can't see me pointing, but it's a colon. And we're also available on social media. That's at 1 to 100 podcast. So yeah, definitely DM us. You can send us an email. We're more responsive via DM. Very approachable. We will respond to everything. So yeah, no, if you want to get in touch with us about, you know, part 1 or what you're doing next or just anything, just feel free to DM us and reach out.
Awesome, thank you very much. So thanks for listening to Architecture in the Den. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please like it, comment and subscribe. And if you really like it, you can even share it. Please do contact me if you'd like to be a podcast guest. You can message me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all at Lisa Raynes, Raynes, or through our website, www.prideroadfranchise.co.uk. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow night for our speaker get together for the Sheroes in Architecture.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.